you beautifuls. I'm Shannon Hunt with therealshannonhunt.com. I just wanted to kind of go over some stuff about yoga and my experiences with that and why I got started in yoga, which was, I calculated them, so roughly it's been 14 years ago. I had 3 little ones at the time and a teenage son. I was a hairdresser, as many of you know, for years, and so I was on my feet a lot. My past experiences and the emotional things that you go through, I think, can kind of catch up with your body. And I was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer at that moment. I was in my young 20s. And I knew at that moment when someone tells you that you're gonna die, basically, he just said, sorry, stage 4, you're kind of like, wait, what have I been doing? What's wrong here? So I knew that, I wanted to heal my body. I knew that I didn't want to go through chemotherapy, which they did suggest to do that. And I just knew that there had to be more out there than what I was given. And so I stopped doing hair, had 3 little ones at that time. Roughly, I think, 3-2 in an infant, or 4-3 in an infant, somewhere around in that stage. I'd have to do the math on that. But it dove into just nutrition at that moment and figured out what I needed to do to heal myself. And found nutrition, lots of wheatgrass, yum. It actually is yummy though to me now. At that time it wasn't too good though. A lot of fruits and vegetables, and that wasn't something I wasn't quite used to. I ate fruits and vegetables, but I wasn't quite used to eating vegetarian and drinking all that water and a whole lot of wheatgrass and juicing, and I kind of became like this little psycho mom. My kids, making their baby food and making their food, and they didn't get much that wasn't organic and made. We were members at Lifetime Fitness at that time, and I had never really done yoga. For a little bit of yoga I had done, but was familiar with some of the poses and things like that, but not what I was getting into. So there was a teacher training going on. Kathy was leading that training. She was an incredible person. I love her. And I just dove into it. I didn't know, blindly. I just went into it. I was like, this is what I need to do because this is going to heal. This is like a healing thing, or I felt that way. So I went into the yoga teacher training. Now, granted, I have 3 little ones. Blindly, not really knowing what to do. I'll have to say that it was an incredible experience. It really was. It really helped me heal my body, and just all the, things in your past and things that you do get bundled up inside of you, and we push things down a lot, and we need to learn to express that and to let go of things, because I feel that when we bottle things up like that, that's what creates cancer. It's what creates turmoil in the body. My experience with yoga, it was the Johnny Kest training at Lifetime Fitness. Was intense. I'm not gonna lie, it was intense. I would highly suggest it to anybody, even if you're not going to be a teacher, because it's almost like a 12-week therapy program, 3 days a week. It was interesting, like learning the poses, learning the language, the yoga language, the Sanskrit. There's just so much involved in it than just yoga. I think yoga has come a long way. I feel like there's pluses and minuses to like modern yoga, to where we're at today. Is like we think of it as like an exercise, and I'm gonna go stretch and exercise, and there's so many different forms of it as well. But I do feel like we lose sometimes track of what it's really about. Like, what is yoga? Why are we in there? It's not an ego thing. When you're in class and you're doing yoga, and they talk about this at the program as well, that you have to let your ego go when you go on your mat. It's not about the person next to you, that they can get into the pose and you can't, because sometimes our ego will get in the way of that and we try to keep up with that. But that's not really what it's about. It's about you. It's about you on your mat. About healing your body. When I went through that training, I had never even gotten up in front of anybody to speak. I was a nervous wreck. I didn't know any of the poses really. You had to come up with your own sequencing. You had to get up and talk and teach and talk about what you were doing. And it was like, I remember I was just shaking so bad the first time I got up in front of people. And I had an amazing group. It was a small group. They were all amazing people. I still have contact with some of them. I think that you go through so much emotion going through a training like that. I would get into some of the poses and I'd just start crying. I had no reason. I didn't even know why I was crying. Why am I crying? This is stupid. What's going on here? But it's a release. Yoga is supposed to be that. It's supposed to be you and your mat and you releasing and finding out what's inside to release that. There's different parts of it as well that you go through. There's a lot of, things we did like with energy work where someone would have to lay down. And this was the first time I'd had ever experienced anything like this. And I didn't even know if I believed it, didn't believe it. I didn't know what I was believing until I did it. And of course, energy's all around us, right? Everything has energy. Someone would lay down and we were all around the person and we had to just put our hands, 2 inches or 3 inches away. I don't remember exactly what it was, but everyone had their hands around this person. And it was interesting to see and to feel, and we had to talk about it when we were done, that some people's hands would go closer and some people's hands would pull away from the person. So it was that negative and that positive working with the other person's energy. And then we'd have to discuss, each person went and we'd have to discuss how we felt and what we felt. And it was just an amazing experience to feel that and to go through that. There's also another section that we did. I'll never forget this. We had to partner up, and they were always putting us with different people, so we always were experiencing different experiences with people. But we had to look in their eyes, and I forget how long we had to look, but we couldn't blink. We just had to sit there and stare into each other's eyes. And it was like the hardest thing to do at first because you're like laughing and you're trying to do it, and it was hard to do. To learn how to just look at somebody without looking away, and you couldn't talk, and you barely knew the person. So I think it just teaches you so much. It really just is an amazing experience to go through and how to heal your body. We had to go through a silence, I think it was like a 24-hour silence thing, 48-hour, I don't remember exactly the time frame of it, where we couldn't talk. We do that with 3 little kids and a teenage boy. And yeah, that's hard, really hard. I'd go home and I'm like, now I can't talk to them. There's like little babies and I can't say anything. Luckily, my daughter, the one that's 17 now, she was, I don't remember the age that she was then, but 3 or 4. She used to have these tantrums. They were called breath holding spells, and actually went to an ER, rushed her to ER one time because she had made herself pass out. $10,000 later, the doctor's like, well, I'm sorry, you have a spoiled child. She holds her breath. I'm like, oh, great, thanks. So we had taught her sign language so she could communicate better with us because she wasn't communicating what she wanted to say to us. So she would throw a fit or hold her breath and she'd make herself pass out. Luckily, she's grown out of that. She's into a new little stage of 17. So luckily I had that language with her, so I could speak to her a little bit through that. My son Blue was a little bit more challenging, and then London, of course, was the baby. She was even more challenging. And I was drawing on paper, trying to communicate with them, and figuring out what they're trying to say, what they want milk, and then of course one of them knew Spanish, and I didn't know Spanish. She's talking Spanish, we're talking sign language, and everything. It was a hot mess, complete hot mess. But when we went back to class, we had to talk about how we felt, what happened with our experiences, without talking, having silence, having only our thoughts, having to communicate with no language, and how that was, and the experiences with that. It was an interesting experience, and the emotions that are pulled up with you when you're going through that, and the emotions that you release. The meditation part of that, we had to meditate. You also had to eat vegan, with nothing else, just the water, vegan. And the meditating part of that, and I will say this, I'll be real honest with you. Meditation, I think, is over, like, people put too many expectations on that, too much expectation on a meditation. I just learned how to meditate. It's been 14 years. Seriously, this year, like, how to truly meditate and just, like, stop, quiet my mind. Because, your ego gets in the way. You start thinking of all this stuff, your grocery list, what you gotta do. Then you quiet your mind down again, and then it goes right back into whatever you're doing. And so it's taken 14 years. So you can't give up on that. You have to just keep trying. Because you will find a lot of answers that way. Just to quiet the mind for just a moment. Second, even if it's 10 seconds at first, just whatever it is, find that moment with yourself, with a little bit of quiet time with your mind, with meditation, because it does help to heal the body. Going through the yoga process, I think, especially if you're not going through a health issue or not health issue, I feel that it really does heal your body of letting go of things. Letting go of the past, forgiveness, forgiving yourself, forgiving people, finding a moment of just pause, because I think that we don't do that. We're so busy, life is so busy. Myself included, I have to check myself all the time. 5 kids, guys. I gotta do a lot to check in. And just go, wait a second, I gotta slow down for a second, this is not right, let's stop, pause for a second, and just enjoy what you have in life, and walk outside for a moment. Even if it's at your lunch break, or if it's 5 minutes at your office, stop for just a second. And you can meditate anywhere you want. You can do walking meditation, running meditation. That's what runners are doing. They're meditating, they're running, they're clearing their mind, feeling those endorphins. And yoga can be done anywhere. It doesn't have to be in a yoga room. It can be done anywhere you want. Right at your desk, you could do some yoga poses. Just feeling your body for just a moment, and being able to release and let go. So I do invite you to try it if you haven't tried it. And always remember that when you walk into that room, I know that sometimes you can be overwhelmed or nervous, not want to do it, or feel like there's too many people, knowing that maybe they can get into it and you can't, but it's truly not what it's about. It really isn't. It's just about yourself. It's about letting go, finding who you are, centering yourself, finding quiet time for just you. It's all about what you're wanting at that moment, in that place, in that time, and no one else. And if you haven't gone through a yoga teacher training, I invite you to do that as well. Even if you're not, it's like awesome therapy. It's actually very inexpensive therapy. And not that you won't have to do any work after that, of course you will. I'm still doing work. Every day I do work. Every day you have to do work to better yourself, to be the better person, to be the best version of yourself. guys to look into it if you haven't, to find other resources and other ways to heal your body, especially if you're going through health issues, because there's lots out there. There's a whole world of things out there that you can heal your body with. And yoga's one of them. Love you guys. And you guys look into the future that I will be having a yoga teacher training myself, so you can always look for that as well at therealshannonhunt.com. Love you guys.